Did you know that you can make Augur's nuke damage itself? Or what exactly poison does to Adel, the gaping jaw? Did you know that Fromsoft have announced that starting this month, they will be introducing enhanced versions of the Nightlords? Most likely, they will include the unused third phase of their soundtracks. Plus, they're working on duos too. Now is the perfect time to master the best part of Elden Ring Nightreign, the Nightlords. Whether you're new to the game or have gotten every achievement, these bosses have a ton of hidden mechanics that you might have missed. So let's look at some awesome but lesser known tips and tricks to help you better enjoy some of the best fights FromSoft has ever made. To start, here are some fundamentals that will make a big difference in every fight. Then we'll cover each Nightlord in order, so if you don't want spoilers, beware. First is that Nightreign lets you dodge grab attacks, which are now signalled by a unique sound. And glow with darkness. Learn to spot these, because if you dodge it at the right time, you'll not only avoid the grab, but you'll inflict a decent amount of stance damage while also filling some of your ultimate art. I find it's easiest dodging towards the enemy. Second are boluses. Unlike Elden Ring, these buff your resistances permanently for the run. I'd honestly recommend just eating any you find, and you can eat them right off the floor. Just hold the pickup button and then press the use button, Y or triangle, and up on the D-pad. So always think about what your Nightlord uses, and if you find a location with that element, thoroughly loot all the boluses. It makes a massive difference. Third is this red circle that sometimes appears on you or your teammates' characters. This means that the boss is focusing its attention on you, so don't ignore it. It signals a very threatening mood that you should be on the defensive for. Too often I see people continue attacking the boss while they're targeted and get punished for it. If the circle is on a teammate, take that time to heal, reset, or help them. Fourth is that each Nightlord has a weakness, which you can see when queuing for a game in the roundtable hold. This is already easy to miss, but even if you know about them, exactly how they help with each boss is very different, as we'll see later. Either way, make a note of the weakness and prioritise getting those affinities. If you have bad luck and there aren't any locales with that element, then don't worry. If you go to the shops throughout the map, they will have weapons with every element, and as you'll see later, this is often worth grabbing even if the weapon type doesn't suit your build. Before we dive into each Nightlord, I wanted to offer some help to those of us who have found the connection in Nightreign unreliable. Usually the game works great, but sometimes, I don't know, it feels like you've been placed in a server halfway across the planet. If this sounds familiar, then I'm happy to share that this video is brought to you by GearUp Booster. GearUp Booster, simply put, is a VPN service that only deals with your game's data, rather than everything you do on your computer. Think of it as a private gaming network provider that allows you to use less busy transmission routes to reach the game's server. If the server's nearby and you have low ping, it may not change much, but if your real-time data has to travel far to reach the game server, it will minimize the game's latency, and do so without packet loss. Of course, you might actively want to join a distant server to play with an online friend or community, or for competitive reasons, and in that case, GearUp allows you to switch servers with ease. GearUp has console gamers covered too, with the HyperEv gaming router, the best out there for less than $100, and purchase includes 2 complimentary Ethernet cables to help you get everything set up. I know with software like this you might be wary, but for once you don't need to worry. It's perfectly safe, and it's allowed for competitive matchmaking, since the game itself is not directly altered. The esport team TSM is officially partnered with GearUp Booster, after all, so check out their thoughts too. I've always loved the silent fellowships of jolly cooperation, and now it's more reliable than ever. Check out GearUp Booster for yourself by using my referral link below, and I hope it helps. Thanks again to GearUp Booster for sponsoring this video. First up is Gladius, arguably the easiest Nightlord, but one that can still get out of hand. Gladius is weak to Holy, and yes, the symbol is far too similar to lightning. This is Holy, this is lightning. We need a cheat sheet or something. Now, weaknesses are more than just elements that do extra damage, they have special effects in the fight. Some Nightlords are susceptible to lots of elements, but they'll only be weak to one. Using Holy for Gladius does 3 things. You can micro-stagger to interrupt attacks and give short attack openings, you can fully stagger, and you also lower their defense and attack power once they glow with this holy effect. The second phase, where they split into 3 dogs, is triggered below 75% health, but after that, the transitions are time-based only, at about 45 seconds between forms, so you don't need to damage Gladius when they're split if you're struggling. Just run away and they will still rejoin. Make sure to pay attention to the red circle when they're split. This marks when the leader, who has the sword, commands all 3 to attack one Nightfarer. For confident players, you can turn this on the boss's heads, since hitting all 3 dogs does 3 times the damage. If they're charging at you, try a big ol' like Wilders or Raiders and enjoy. Otherwise, the 3 dogs usually only have one that's aggressive at a time. Finally, I see a lot of players get hit by the massive flaming sword attack in phase 2. Once Gladius reforms into one, try to stick close to him, it makes it much easier to dodge. Next up is Adel, the Baron, the Gaping Jaw. I found this fight very confusing initially, but now it's so much fun, especially after FromSoft patched Adel being able to attack your PC directly with frame drops. First up, eat staunching boluses. Everyone gets caught by the grab attacks in this fight, but even one bolus can make the difference here so you don't get bled. Next, the grab attacks are secretly Adel's weak point. By using them so often, you can turn them against the Nightlord. If you master the dodge, you can build your ult rapidly and stagger way more often. But if you or your teammate does get caught, try using a staggering ultimate like Iron Eyes or Wilders. Your ally will be released and you'll get a big window to punish Adel. The second phase can be overwhelming, but jumping is your best friend here. Whenever the ground erupts with lightning, it's much easier to dodge with jumps than rolls, so keep calm and jump away. Adel is interesting in that their weakness isn't an element, but a status, poison, which is confusing because if you fought this boss with poison, then you'll notice that he just spews the poison back out again, which can also damage you. So what really happens? If you poison the Nightlord in the first phase, he will throw up the poison soon after. But look at his health bar. He actually front loads the poison damage by doing this. You aren't losing the poison, you're speeding it up, and now you can poison him again, rather than having to wait for the poison to finish. If you stand by their legs, you'll also be safe during this animation, so it provides a massive window to wail on Adel. The second phase won't stop to throw up the poison, but it still does a lot of damage and weakens the boss. Note that Adel is just as susceptible to rot, so you can stack the statuses, even if rot won't have the extra weakness effect. Gnoster, or the Sentient Pest, is a trial of perseverance. The duo aims to chip you down and out-tank you, so focus on minimizing the damage you take, because revives are particularly difficult in the second phase. Make sure to eat neutralizing boluses during your run to help against the poison. Nonetheless, someone is bound to get poisoned, which works differently in this fight. You can't remove it yourself, because you'll be infected by a bug. Pay attention to your teammates, because if they get poisoned, you need to help them. Attack the bug to cure their poison. If you're taking the Moth's aggro, you'll most likely be a ranged character, so before the fight starts, make sure to check if you've picked up the weapon passive that makes you less likely to be targeted. It's a great perk in Nightreign and works really well, but remember to take it off during this fight. You actively want the Moth to target you. I've seen this happen surprisingly often, where the Moth ignores the ranged Nightfarer to hit the melee players in the back. If you're fighting the Scorpion, or whatever it's meant to be, then don't forget that every single weapon in the game has 100% physical block. So, for example, if the delayed side slam keeps catching you, try just blocking. This is also really useful when it attacks from beneath you, underground. No need to perfectly time it, just block. Finally, this Nightlord's weakness is fire. As you can see here, it does a huge amount more damage than anything else, and if you hit the Moth with fire, it will catch a light and do damage over time. Fire is so powerful that even a less than ideal fire weapon should be considered. Augur or Maris is perhaps the most controversial Nightlord, which is a shame because I really love the fight. The atmosphere, the pacing, it just feels refreshing amidst the rest of the high-paced combat. The problem is how much you've got to chase the boss down, but you can actually damage the boss another way. If you kill the exploding jellyfish or the tentacles, they release these bubbles that return to Augur to damage them. It really adds up, so you don't need to be chasing the boss constantly and should always have something to do. Did you know that this also applies to its nuke in the second phase? If you kill them before they hit the ground, they release much larger bubbles that do even more damage. Just beware, because near the end of the fight, Augur can spawn 2 nukes, so don't tunnel vision like I did here. If you can't kill them, then you've got to sprint in the opposite direction, so you're out of the explosion's range. Otherwise, the biggest threat in the fight is the arena-wide sleep move. This cannot be avoided. It's a straight-up DPS check. If you have any stunning ultimates like Wilder, Raider, or Iron Eye, this is what you should be saving them for. During your run, you should be stocking up on sleep resistance by eating stimulating boluses to give yourself more time here. Else, you should be relying on this Nightlord's weakness, lightning. Not only does this do an incredible amount of damage compared to all the other types, as you can see, but it's also way faster at stunning Augur out of the sleep attack. Ah, Libra. What is it about frenzy bosses being peak? Libra is interesting in that they don't specifically have a second phase, just that it's more likely they will successfully buff themselves as the fight goes on. Once again, eat boluses, this time the clarifying sword. Libra, or Equilibrious Beast, is perhaps surprisingly weak to Frenzy. Not only does Frenzy do a lot of damage, but they, like the player, can be inflicted with flame behind the eyes, which stuns the boss and stops them from using spells for a short time. However, Frenzy camps are rare, and Frenzy weapons or spells are even more rare, so you can't rely on getting Frenzy on a run. Fortunately, though you won't get the extra benefit Frenzy has, Libra is still very weak to Holy, Fire, and status effects, so go for these at the very least. This fight is all about maintaining control, ironically. If Libra is trying to buff themselves, you need to destroy the sigils that appear around him. That, or you can stance break him out of the attack. Iron Eye or Wilder are great for this, but I recommend Raider. His ult stuns Libra, but a skill that's fully charged will also do the trick, so if you manage him well, Libra can never buff. If they do buff though, they'll cast triple the spells, so take a step back and play on the defensive for a while. If you can't stop Libra from buffing, then use that time to res teammates or reset yourself. Finally, I strongly recommend you don't take any deals to start the fight. I'm sure on rare occasions they can help, but the hidden negatives are usually far too big. For example, I Want a High Level levels you up, but costs a flask for every level up. Also, if you damage him, the fight begins, so be careful. I didn't mean to activate him here. Fulghor, or the Dark Drift Knight, is another one many find tough. His wind blasts are purely physical, so if you find the timings difficult, I recommend just blocking to make sure you survive, since jumping won't work here. Position near his back in general for safety. Poison and Rot is also very useful to continue damaging him when mobile. This Nightlord's weakness is lightning, which works in an interesting way. If you hit them enough with lightning, Fulghor's armor will crackle with it and slowly damage them over time. However, it's most important for this attack. Fulghor will stand still and charge his lance briefly, before striking it into the ground and causing the arena to erupt with spears for a time, making the following period really difficult. However, if you hit him with lightning while he's charging up, it will stun him out of the attack. And I mean with any lightning. You can be Raider and have a little lightning dagger, or anything else. Just some lightning damage will work, so make sure you have something handy. If you've already stunned the knight once, then the second time will take more lightning hits to stun again. Even then, this time the boss's attack won't be cancelled completely, and spears will still erupt everywhere. However, I still strongly recommend you commit to this stun, because the spear attack will be much weaker, as you can see here, compared to the full attack. Finally, we have Caligo, the Fisher in the Fog. What a beautiful fight. Unsurprisingly, you should once again stock up on boluses here, the Thorfrost variant. But more than that is the Shifting Earth Mountaintops event. In some ways, this Shifting Earth is usually the most difficult to get value from, because the Ice Dragons are so hard, even with the Mountain Secret buff. But if you're fighting Caligo and have the mountaintops, then they're an absolute must. Not only for the secrets of the mountain, but every boss you beat there will drop rewards that specifically help you against this Nightlord. It's crazy how powerful you can become for them. Naturally, Caligo is weak to fire, but they're also resistant to most other things, so you really should use fire. Wilder is a great pick because he can have a relic that allows a greatsword follow-up after using the grapple, where it becomes cloaked in flame. If you hit Caligo enough with fire, they'll be stunned and have their defenses lowered for half a minute, as shown by the red aura. Generally, you just want to be patient in this fight, running away from the ice breath when need be. In case you didn't know, Caligo has two types of special fog attacks. One where you should follow the dark wind to hide behind these ice blocks. And two where the arena is covered by this incredible ice lattice that can be lethal when it falls. For this, you can run away, but if you pay attention, the music goes quiet, so that you can focus on where the crystallizing sounds are coming from. If you're quick, you can actually reach Caligo in time, where you'll not only be safe, but have tons of time to do damage. I won't be covering the final Nightlord since I think a lot of people won't have fought them yet, but I hope this video has taught you something new and helps you on your next journey into Limveld. If you made it this far, consider supporting the channel and get early access to upcoming releases, feature your own theories on the channel, or even get access to new Lore Before Bed videos ad-free for less than $1. Your support makes content like this possible, so thank you.